Hey, Mas Sajady here. Welcome to Mas on Sunday. All right, I hope the time change didn't mess you all up. It messed me up. Just like psychedelics sometimes, right? They kind of mess you up. You expect something, but then you get something else. So this is what we're going to be talking about today on Mas on Sunday. My name is Mas Sajady. We're going to be talking about psychedelic experiences, and we're going to have some lovely individuals who've had psychedelic experiences and maybe have not had the best experiences, or maybe have had the best psychedelic experiences. Either way, the way we do it here at XI Exponential Intelligence, it just helps us utilize psychedelic, the tool that I would call psychedelics in a proper way. So I just want to go into it a little bit. A lot of you go, well, why is Moss going into psychedelics, right? Well, one, XI exponential intelligence is about using the tools of this reality, and then also the tools of another reality, other realities, higher realities that you actually come from, your timeless self. So you've got your timeless self that co-creates this reality with you. The key is that it co-creates this reality with you. Most people think that you are of this reality, you are of this physical reality, and then you're trying to go to another reality. You're trying to find your higher self. You're trying to be whole. You're trying to be complete. You're trying to be a good person. If I become successful, I'll go help the world. If I help millions of people, either way, it doesn't matter. If I help millions of people, or feed the world, or plant some trees, or I don't know, save the whales, whatever the hell we want to do, to express what we're trying to do is like, okay, these things, including psychedelics, will help me reconnect to that higher version of who we are. So in the first place, we think we're lost, right? And we need to find our way back. We're really not. So exponential intelligence dictates that, and it works well. Okay, it's a new science that it's actually one of the most important sciences, one of the most important sciences in history, by the way. And I'll explain more of that. But so take a breath in, and we'll make it an experiential experience for you, so you can actually feel the frequency, right? All right. So what happens, and notice your spine, by the way. Okay. Even for those who are new, just humor me. Like, who is this guy, right? This guy's crazy. Just humor me, okay? And you'll start to feel the differences. All right, back to our storyline. We're here. We are of a solid being. We are time and space bound. And then we want to reconnect to who we are. We want to be that expansive self that we know who we are. That expansive self is a timeless self. It's a time-bound self. So now, some of you, through religion and spirituality, think that that is your spirit. Sure, it's your spirit. We can call it that, but then your spirit has been ill-defined. So we just call it our timeless selves, just to move away from all those, say, ill definitions of what spirit would be. Okay. So thank you. Somebody else, Diana, says, I agree, most important science in history. It's because, and the reason why it's the most important, it's the framework that allows us to understand this reality at a very, very deep level. It's the framework that allows you to, say, create properly, to create wealth properly, to create having relationships, creating love, helping the world. By the way, if we all practiced or became exponentially intelligent, we really wouldn't need to help the world. Think of it. We would be sustainable, just like every other animal here on the planet. Look at them. They're not going, oh, the beaver family or the duck family. They're not going, God, the world's fucked up. We need to go fix it. No, they live in perfect harmony. What more can we do with this world? So that's why it's the most important science. But back to psychedelics, and explaining psychedelics. So we're physical bound. We're going into a timeless realm. We're always trying to go back home. Okay. So through history, back way ancient times, people have used, certain plant medicines, now called psychedelics, right? Mostly coming from plants. There are other forms of psychedelics. They're different than, say, drugs, which might get you the same thing. We're trying to define those psychedelic experiences. So what do? We try anything. Again, we try to help people. We try to do this. We try to do that. We try religions. We try coffee. We try making money. We try getting into, say, really extreme situations like Burning Man or other situations, extreme situations or extreme sacrifice. Try to go through that again to enlighten us. We try to sacrifice others. We try to sacrifice animals. So all those things we've tried in the past, including, say, plant medicines or psychedelics. Since those things haven't really allowed us to awaken and understand the science of why we're here, what we're doing here, what our purpose is, right? What are we doing? We're going back in circles. We're creating a huge turnaround, and this is the craze. Psychedelics are becoming popular again, right? Just like they did way back in ancient times, way back in tribal times, where people got into psychedelics way back back in the 1800s, the 1900s, they would try psychedelics, different forms of psychedelics, and again, back in the 60s, 70s, and then it's just a refurbish or recreation of psychedelics. It's like, hey, nothing else in this world worked. The deep state didn't help or couldn't help or doesn't know. So nobody knows basically what the fuck is going on, right? And then it's like, well, let's just go back. And if you start to notice this reality, and I predicted this, I don't know, way before COVID, as I predicted COVID as well, that we will recycle those things for us. Okay. So we recycled basically something that we have to control ourselves with, COVID. We recycled going back to black right, the black what is it meet the black movement again. Back in the 60s and 70s, there was strife that didn't work out. The Me Too movement, that didn't work out. Women being suppressed, and we recycled the financial catastrophe that's going to be happening for you. And now we're recycling against psychedelics. So if you look at all the cycles that we go through, it's like the same damn thing over and over and over again. Okay. Now I say this because it's not the situation that we're in, it's how we're using it, it's the consciousness that we're doing it in. That's the problem. Okay. Women having rights, all women should have proper rights, but why don't they? Right? Why do, say, certain ethnicities don't have the same rights? They all should have those same rights. Why can't we solve those problems? Because we're not in this we're not in the consciousness that we should be. Okay. So, and again, I might be going all over the place. In fact, I'm really not. All those problems, they all come to the same problem, right? We need to go into another consciousness. So today, people are starting to realize we need to go into another consciousness. So one of the best ways they figured out is psychedelics. But I'm just saying, back in the past, psychedelics didn't work out, just like any other tool. It didn't work out. Why? It's because it doesn't allow us, it doesn't free us to go into another consciousness. Although it helps, it's a great, great tool. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in. Now let's bring it down into just the psychedelic experiences. Okay, so nowadays, nowadays, what's happening is like, you know what, this world isn't really working out for me. Okay, I'm going to go back to back to the beginning, back to olden times. You can't do that because the olden times are back there. Why are you pulling yourself way back in time and history? That's one of that's one of the issues that people have. Right. The other aspect of psychedelics also is that people want to go back to simpler times with psychedelics. Right. People start to practice old modalities, which is totally cool. Right. I've gone to events and so on. They've got spiritual people there practicing old modalities. That's really good as well. But again, it brings you back to older times. We want to go back to our youth. We want to go back to simpler times. We want the world again to go back to a time that there was no problem. right? So one, that's the problem with psychedelics as a whole. As a world, we want to go back to simpler times. How many people agree with that? We want to go back to, pre-COVID, let's just say, right? And maybe even before. But it's always been that way. No matter what generation you go, it's like as they grow up, it's like, gosh, you know what? We had it better than we do now. Everybody says that. So the problem, and I'm just reading the group here, by the way, the problem with that is that when you try psychedelics, okay, if your objective is to going back to a better time, and let me put this at a personal level so we understand. I'm more of a, say, professor. I just think, broader scale, okay, macro level. But let's put it at a micro level so we understand this. Take a breath in, okay? So think of it this way, okay? You're having a hard time, right? No matter how old you are, you could be a teen, you know, maybe it was a lot easier for you back in the day, or that shit, life shouldn't be this way. Or maybe you're older and again, earlier times was better for you. Now you're having a hard time. You're lost again, like most people are in today's society, right? We're lost. So, or you want to go back to, say, nature. Again, what does that mean to you? Going back to nature, going back to Lemuria, going back to whatever. You're going back in time and space. Time and space doesn't work out that way. So when you do psychedelics, right, for those people who want to, and then for those people who don't want to, either way, right, the point is the same. When you go do psychedelics, for those who want to, right, what happens is that your objective, your main frequency when you do psychedelics, and I'll get, is that, hey, I want to go back in time. So what do? You go back in time when you release yourself of this reality. Psychedelics affects your brain at a level where spatial referencing, the reference of who you are and where you are in space and time, get messed up. Okay? Basically, that's what psychedelics do. So what do? So imagine this. You're physically bound just like this. Right? What you do, psychedelics basically, because of it distorts time and space for you through manipulating chemicals in your brain, you release, say, the possibilities of who you are in physical form. And then you kind of float above your space here. Okay. And then what you do is basically go, hey, I want to go back in time because that's your direction that you gave, your purpose that you gave. I want to go to a simpler time because that was your solution. And then you go back here. So what happens when you're going back here is like when the psychedelics wear off, you're misplaced. You literally are here and here. This is where those individuals start to realize it's like, hey, this world sucks. It sucks even more. And if you see people chase that dragon or go down that rabbit hole, right? They want the next high. Okay? This is why psychedelics in the first, for most people, the initial hit when they try psychedelics, it's a great experience for them, right? And then afterwards, it gets less and less and less, but they want to chase that high. And this is the reason why. Again, it allows them to disconnect and they go, whoa, feels really cool. But then once you've disconnected, you've already been there, right? And then you go further back, unfortunately. So the more psychedelics you do, and I'm just, again, reading a lot of you who've done psychedelics, way too many, too much. It's just like you just go further and further and further back. Hence, you want to do more psychedelics, for example, okay? To bring yourself back to, say, that euphoric experience. So that's why psychedelics for most individuals don't work, right? For I would say about over 90% of the people who do psychedelics. Now, people would go, well, see, that's why I'm not doing psychedelics. Okay, that's great too. But you're still going the same way. You want to disconnect. You want to do it in another way. You want to do religious ceremonies, spiritual ceremonies. You want to help people. You want to make money, whatever it is. You're just wanting to disconnect and then go back to a simpler time where it's easier. You always want to go back to your real self. Okay. So, again, the problem with it all is that you want to go back to your real self of who you are. That's the key. And I'm just going to say that again. You want to go back to your simpler self of who you are. So what do? So no matter what you're doing, you're wanting to go back in time. But if you want to go back home, you're not going back home. You're ascending because your higher self, your timeless self, and your time bound self are in the same moment of time. You don't have to go back. So that's not your directive, right? So what XI does is allow you to understand who you really are and who you really, or where you really came from, and how you create this reality for yourself. The real self is your timeless self here, or your spirit. Most people know that at a very intrinsic or a very deep level. But most people don't understand the mechanics. And exponential intelligence allows you to understand the mechanics on how to do it properly. So whether you're doing psychedelics or whether you're not doing psychedelics, it doesn't really matter, right? XI does it either way. It's people who do want to do it psychedelics, it's just a faster vehicle for you to accelerate yourself of disconnecting, right? And I want to rephrase that. You're not disconnecting yourself. You're basically starting to realize that you are both identities. Again, your time bound self and your timeless self at the same time. And then you start to realize it's like, wait a second. The physical bound self here does not have to go back home. Physical bound self is tied to that time bound, timeless self here. And then you start to realize with XI that timeless self of who we are, timeless self of who we are, right, is creating the reality that we are here, the physical bound. So that's the simple mechanics. Now we go deeper into that, into the in the lecture series. We go deeper in. I forgot the name of the lecture series. Yeah, psychedelic plant personalities and how it affects your experience. So, and if the team can put that on there for you. But what happens again is that these psychedelics, it allows you to, with XI, allows you to say disconnect properly. So it does it much faster. Now, if you don't do psychedelics, that's totally cool, right? But the key is that a lot of people are migrating to psychedelics, and it becomes a dangerous scenario because most people will do it wrong, and it just cycles people downwards, right? We want this opportunity in time and history to expand individuals' awarenesses. So if you're going to do psychedelic, be XI compliant. And for the most part, most people who've done psychedelics with XI or have had previous experiences. So you don't have to do it again. That's the cool thing about XI. It's a timeless science. If you've done psychedelics in the past, we can use that disconnect because you've already disconnected to help you understand how you disconnected. So once you disconnect, you're at a higher level, and then you get to oversee your life. It's like, oh, that's how I'm creating my life. That's why I'm doing this. That's why this is happening. And then you can displace yourself. That's what psychedelics allows you to do. That's what actually XI allows you to do. It allows you to displace your identity of who you are. So you're not changing your mindset. You're changing your identity of who you are through space and time or different coordinates. You're getting into the multidimensional self. I know that might be too mind-boggling for a lot of individuals, but we're all here in dimensions of time and space. So basically, in a nutshell, psychedelics allow you to disconnect from the consciousness or the dimension of time and space that you've created yourself. You want to escape into a higher version of who you are and move away from this version. There's no way to do that unless you, again, this is where, unfortunately, psychedelics leads to death for some individuals, because again, the density of this reality gets too harsh for people. Okay. So again, those are the side effects. You want to do it properly. That's why I'm getting into, not me personally, into helping those individuals do psychedelics properly. Or if you've had psychedelics in the past, reusing that experience. Or if you haven't had psychedelics, XI is the next best thing without the side effects. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into, say, deeper level explanations with using real live individuals and their psychedelic experiences. Can you use a near death in the same way? Yep. Miss G, that's what I did. Right? Instead of using psychedelics, guys, I used a near-death experiences. Simple as that. Again, no matter what we're doing, and I love that, Miss G. Um, what happens is that we're always trying to go back home or create or connect to a higher version of who we are. Okay. So what happens again is a near death is a great way to do it. But even a near death, there's I think like over 1,000 documented near death cases just in the U.S. Okay? So that's a lot of near death. But why aren't a lot of people say awakened or have the abilities like I do? Because they weren't prepared for it. So the deal is, it's not the tool that you're using. Okay? It's how you use that tool. Anything can be used. A bad marriage can be used. Maybe that's you, mystery. No offense. Yeah. So a bad marriage could wake you up. A terrible childhood could wake you up. Right. So in XI, we use all those things, all those situations that you've had in the past to awaken you into the present. Right. And then this allows you to go forward in the future much easier, much better. And then every waking moment actually starts to become a psychedelic experience because every waking moment you're connected from a higher perspective and you start to go, whoa, this is really cool. Life is really cool. This is where, deep state yogis back in the day, real yogis and real shamans, they can just sit somewhere for hours and hours and hours and go, this is so cool, right? Without drugs or anything, they can just sit and meditate. And it's Buddha, they can just sit for days. This is so cool. Because at that level, when you're creating yourself in physical form, it's like, how the heaven did I create this reality that is just so beautiful? And look, I can touch and feel it too. That we're all trying to go back to that place. So that's how we do it. We want to do it properly, right? Psychedelics are very harsh to the intestinal tract. Harsh, absolutely. A lot of times, again, ayahuasca experiences and so on like that. It is a death experience. That's why ayahuasca is um, um, considered what DMT, the God molecule, not the God molecule, but the God, whatever. It helps you connect it there. So basically, in ayahuasca ceremonies, you're going through a death ceremony, right? You feel like you're dying, and then the drug, the chemical, what happens is it allows you to disconnect because you disconnect physically from the body. Okay, so it is a death experience. You want to do that death experience, right? Now, DMT, pure version of ayahuasca. And by the way, I cover that in the lecture series. DMT, by the way, is a pure version, and it's created. It's basically in, I think, almost all the plants. It's in your body. Your body uses to connect. There's something called the theo neurobiology. Basically, it's that chemical that say creates that leap of faith. It connects you to your timeless self. That's what DMT. Plus, I think two more drugs that not sure, two more chemicals in your body that people haven't actually discovered from what I'm seeing. So, by the way, I can tap into anything or the science of anything. And I know it. Uh, yeah. So there's two more chemicals alongside DMT that will help you say connect. I'll have to do more deep state meditations on that. So if you'd like to join me, by the way, in those deep state meditations where a lot of realizations come for us all in the group, the universal power frequencies that we're spearheading, it allows you to reset all the spiritual notions that you've had, the spiritual connections that you've had. It allows you to reset your religions. It doesn't matter what religion. It's all good. Again, it's not the tool that you're using, it's how you're using that tool. It allows you to reset again to get to those higher levels. So, and in those deep state meditations that we get into, like the universal power frequencies, it allows us as a whole to ascend to higher levels. And at that level, a lot of us, including myself, can get access to, say, more knowledge, for more science on how this reality works. So it is a molecule. No, it's not a. It's basically a chemical that it's very interesting. I love getting into groups, and that's why I like to do these live. By the way, like the 18-day hyper meditations now called Human Reset, which is coming up, I think, next month. Those things, we do it live, right? Just because of this, because I can interact with you in real time. Um, what is DMT? DMT is a chemical, and I forgot what it stands for. Somebody can put it in there. DMT is basically a chemical that your body uses to enhance your capabilities or literally connect. It's the bridging gap between your time-bound self, your timeless self. So again, it's in pretty much in all the plants. This is where your cannabinoid system works, how it works. All that is going to be coming up in the psychedelic lectures and meditations that we're going to be doing for you too, so we understand the science behind it, so we can do it properly. Okay. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll go into say how psychedelics have affected these individuals' lives, right? And then how we can say transform them. And since we're not time bound, since we start to realize one thing, that we're not time-bound individuals, we can make, say, fast transformations. By the way, as I work on these individuals, right? As I work on these individuals, I'll be working on you, especially if you've had similar experiences. So we'll make it say a group state hyper meditation. So whether you're here live or you're going to listen to this later on, you'll be absorbed into the frequencies. All right. So let's take a deep breath in, and then we'll get into some of your questions. Okay. Take a deep breath in. Notice your spine. So your spine is a neural pathway. So when you take psychedelics, obviously it affects every aspect of you. Uh, most scientists don't really understand. In fact, all science really don't understand what the brain does. Okay? Here in XI, we have a lot of different, say, scenarios or different, say, discoveries on what the brain does. And I'll just explain that right now in just a brief second. Basically, your brain, most of the functioning of the brain, that's why our brain is so big compared to a lot of animals, or it processes a lot, or it takes the most, say, calories for you, because it allows you to create your identity. Basically, if you think of your body as a pixel, right? You've got trillions or billions of pixels that create your body. Your brain keeps track of all the pixels. So when you move your hand like this, you actually feel like your hand is actually moving, but it's just a creation of within the brain connected to your higher self. Right? So if that's mind-boggling for you, hang out, stick around, and it will boggle your mind even more. So again, notice your brain, the two hemispheres, and then that central part of the brain stem, and then the nervous system that radiates throughout your body. You might even feel it tingle at the tip of your fingertips, or maybe your shoulders, or your hips, or even down into your toes. You might feel that tingling, again, allowing you to understand that you're starting to see how you're creating yourself. All right. So let's go with we'll go with Tara and then to Katie. And again, these are live scans. Some of them have worked with us before, some of them have not. So Tara.
Hi. So I've had experiences with psychedelics, and I was wondering if I could quickly list what led up to me taking them and if you could help assist cleaning up some of those events. So I'll try to keep it really short. From 0 to 12, I had kind of a traumatic childhood with my mom in and out of hospital a lot. And then when I was 14, some people close to me passed away. When I was 15, I got diagnosed with a chronic illness. And at 16, I started trying to use a certain substance to help with the chronic pain and insomnia related to my chronic illness. And then there was an episode of assault, And right after then, I had a really, really bad, scary trip. And I've never really understood what happened, but it was absolutely terrifying.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Was so how old are you? Can I ask?
I'm 26.
26? Okay. You actually feel like a 16, 17-year-old to me, frequency wise. Okay.
That's
So
when I a substance. Yeah.
yeah. Tara, and you've done XI before, right?
Yeah, I've been here for about a year now. So
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So and I'll explain that as well. Take a deep breath in. All right. And okay. So think of it this way. So when I see you, it's like, uh, you didn't have the best reference in time. Your mom was a little messed up or a lot messed up, let's just say. She was not, say, conscious in space and time. Hence, she would always create like near-death experiences for herself. That makes sense for you?
yep.
It's always like, uh, or if things don't go right for your mom, she basically would feel like she's dying. So that's the deal. So whenever that gets created, and you're a young kid, especially in your infantile, 0 to 7 years old, what happens, Tara, is that your mom has a dying experience. Okay, her life is not going well. She gets pulled into death. Basically, you go and you start to basically see what I see as a child. 0 to 7, most kids see what I see, but most kids can't explain it. That's all. That's the only difference. So what you do is like shit. Like mom going into a death space. I guess I need to go in there. Okay, and then I see like a range 12 to 16. I don't know if you got abused or you got sacrificed or you'd sacrifice yourself. I'm not a psychic. I just pick up frequencies. But between 12 to 16, it's just like you were all over the place. Time should be a linear time frame, okay, or just very little frequencies of time. But basically, you're like in time, and then you're just like in all sorts of realities within that time. That makes sense to you?
Yeah,
Uh,
that makes a lot of sense.
it's almost like uh, at that age frame, you didn't even know your sexual identity. Uh, is that if that makes sense for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So take a breath in. So again, and I bring that up because I bring that up because in today's world, what happens is that we're lost in sexual identities. The reason why is not because something wrong with the brain and whatever or choices. It literally is people don't know how to reference time and space, or the reality within time and space. Breath in again. So what happened is that you got so off track around say 16 that you just held on to time and space. You just held on to something. You got so scared that you froze in time. So what you've done with XI over the past year is like, oh, you know what? I can let go. Say that, take a breath in, close your eyes. Right? There's also a death terror or a deep terror in you as well. If that from I won't say 4 to 5 years old, there's just deep terror. Okay. By
Yep.
16, it's like shit. This is too scary. I'm just gonna hold on. Just imagine like you held on to a teddy bear, or people who hold on to blankets, or they like their safety room, or they maybe a favorite closet for you that you would have hid in. If that makes sense for you. Something to that effect, right? Just to enclose you. So what you did is you held on to time and space of a 16-year-old. That you never release that. So this is where again socially, you're a 16-year-old, although you're 25, 26 years old. So it doesn't mix well. This is why relationships get say burdened and so on. Take a breath in. So what you've done with XI, Tara, which is really beautiful. Okay. And by the way, you couldn't have done it with anything else because there's no other modality that concentrates on, say, coordinates of space and time or dimensions of self. There we go. So what I'm doing here for you is that you've created a great bridge. Okay. You've created Tara at a 16-year-old. That's who you were. Okay. That's who you've always been. Again, recycling your 16 years. So 16 to 25, you basically repeated 16 10 times over. Okay. 16 to 26. Okay. So breath in again. All right. So in this case, what's happening, Tara, is that what you've done with XI is that you've created the 25-year-old version of Tara. Okay. So you're basically asking me in this session to go, hey, you know what, Mas, I'm ready to let go of that blanket. I've grown up now. I've healed myself. Can I let go of that blanket? So is it a blanket or is it a room or something to that effect? What does it feel like more to you? Is it something that you hold on to or something that you hide in? Is a question. Which one comes up? You don't
I
think
think it's a
much?
hiding feeling.
Hiding?
Yeah,
Yeah,
wanting to hide.
yep, I get that too. Take a breath in. All right. So you're hiding somewhere. Okay.
Mm.
So open that door. Close your eyes. Open that door. How easy is it for you to open that door and just walk out into that 25, 26-year-old self?
It actually feels quite easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, that's the work that you've done with XI. So what I was doing for you in this session was literally going, hey, you know what, Tara? It's fine for you to come out of the closet and come into your real self of who you are. The terror that was around you is all gone. That was a long time ago. And over this process, you've done a great job. So you'll actually go back and just love that child that was frozen in time. Right. And it's just literally a fast healing process. Within the next few weeks, it's like, holy shit. And this is where you get to actually live. Are you going somewhere? By the way, it seems like you're going somewhere traveling. You'll find who you are.
Not anything planned, but I do love traveling. So yeah.
Yeah. Within the next few weeks, actually, somebody will go, hey, Tara, let's go somewhere. So when that happens, go. Okay. Don't make any excuses. Just drop everything. That's your higher self going, hey, we need to go travel to get out of the space that I've created for myself because it's familiar. And then this
Mm.
is where you rebuild yourself. That's why that's important, sweetie. Okay. And then
Okay.
you come back to your home and it's like, whoa, I'm a different woman. Right. And you'll keep that youthfulness, that beauty of youthfulness for you. All right, sweetie. Let's go to Katie. How do you feel, by the way, Tara? Are you doing good? Are you okay? How do
Lighter almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no drag behind. That's beautiful. We'll go to Katie. And how many of you felt that on just watching Kate, Tara, by the way? Comment in. So where are we? Katie. What happened to Katie? There you are. Hey, Katie, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So psychedelic experiences.
Yeah, I've had an interesting, I did a peyote ceremony in Mexico with a Mexican shaman, but it left me feeling, searching for myself. It left me feeling worse. But realized that most of my psychedelic experiences, I feel like, have been without those kind of drugs in raw nature, specifically swimming in the ocean. So I lived in Mexico for many, many winters, and I would swim in the ocean every day. And I really felt like I could go into different like realms and dimensions, like I experienced just from swimming. And I also like link that to like dreams. And I don't know if they're really dreams or astro traveling. So I'm wondering, that's water has been a big theme for me throughout my life. And so I kind of feel like that's was a psychedelic experience for me,
Yeah.
or
So
so.
Katie. Okay, so this session again, not just for you, Katie, but for other people watching, but you'll be the focus. Take a breath in. Yeah. So in your life frame, again, and this is that general pattern that psychedelics or even nature, because nature is a natural psychedelic. XI is basically a natural, psychedelic that allows you to disconnect from the physical bound self and see yourself from a different perspective. Okay, so take a breath in. So basically, you escape into nature. Does that make sense? You escape into the water. You
Yeah,
basically want to leave your physical boundaries behind, right?
yeah,
You just want to forget about what happened back in the day, right? Now, we don't have to go back into what happened back in the day. We don't have to get into the details. I think you've with XI, whatever you've done with XI, you've left that behind. But say you've cleaned the closet of what you stored in your memory banks, in your cellular memories of
Mhm.
all the things that happened to you back in the day. And then you carry the burdens of a mixture. I want to say your mom and dad didn't have the best relationship or what?
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Okay. So you basically were caught in the middle of that relationship. So if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
And then were you the peacemaker?
Yes.
Uh, okay.
Yes.
So basically it's like frequency wise, or if you want to call it spiritual, take a breath in and just notice your throat, your chest, your lungs. So every time mom and dad would get together, you as a young girl would just literally like suck in and go, fuck, here we go again. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And
Yes.
it might be hard for you to breathe. It's like, or your dad walks in, you and your mom are there, your dad walks in, it's like, oh shit, here we go again. I gotta lose myself. So basically you want to escape. It's like, gosh, can't we just have a great day together? Right?
Yeah.
Especially I want to say around dinner time or something.
Mm.
Uh, so eating food for you, Katie, it was say not the best experiences.
Mm.
That makes sense. But let's just say there's a lot of um, crazy stuff happening around food or dinner time.
Okay.
Right. So when you were young, does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see a lot of stuff coming up. Take a breath in. So you're basically going, you know what? Again, what you've done is just beautiful with XI. Like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go on a new journey because you have an escape mechanism anyway. Again, you escape into things, you escape into psychedelic. What I'm going to do is what you've done with XI in a proper way, and I'll talk about the shaman, is like, you know what? I want to just leave this version of who I am here because I'm going on a new journey. I don't need the tools that I used back in the day to save myself. You've done a great job as a young child to stabilize who you are. A lot of people who've gone through this process probably are like a lot more mentally unstable, so to
Mm.
speak, in the same experience. So again, you've hardened yourself. You're really self-dependent or independent. That makes
Mm.
sense for you. Those are all aspects of what you've learned. So you've turned it into a positive. But again, can we let go of the negative? Can
Please.
we? Okay.
Yeah. Please.
And
Please.
that's what you're here for. I just need
Yeah.
to ask
Yeah.
because again, it's free will.
Yeah.
I'm just you take a breath in. Notice your spine, your throat. Okay. And since you like, I don't know, journeys, uh, again, escaping your body, uh, whatever you use, nature, water, peyote. All right. So you're going on a journey, and this journey you'll never come back to. You can never go back. You can never come back to this place. That's okay for you. So take a breath in. All right. So think of it as a house, whatever, things that you're going to leave behind. Again, if it's you lived in your favorite house or maybe not so favorite house, um, uh, you're camping, you're going to a higher level. You don't need um, whatever uh, you know things that you've brought about because you're going to higher planes, so to speak, higher realities. You don't need to bring what brought you here so far. So can we let go of some of those tools that have been very successful for you, but you don't need it for the rest of your journey here or ever? Okay, can we learn from there?
Yes.
Can we go? Okay, so
Yes,
take a
please.
breath. Uh, I'm just seeing that it's really hard for you
To let
to
go.
to let go.
I
Yeah,
do hang on to things. It's yeah. And I
yeah.
know
So
that I do, but yeah.
yeah. So I'm just kind of like recycling the question for you. Take a
Okay,
breath.
yes.
It's totally cool, honey. Well, if something was used, and this is what happens to highly successful people, it's like, well, shit, I made a lot of money, and you mean I have to let that reference of money go? So in the money case, I'll just move it away from you, okay? And it might take a little longer. Take a breath in, notice your spine, notice your throat, okay? And for the audience as well. So people who create a lot of money, right? They create a lot of money because of fear, or they've been bullied, or they've been abused back in the day. And money has like provided a safety scenario for them. Okay. And it's like, well, this has been really successful for you, for me. Do I have to let it go? And again, you're not letting go of the security that has been created by that tool. You're just allowing that tool to disappear. Just like people who make a lot of money, it's like, gosh, Mas, do I have to let go of my money and lose all my minutes? No, you don't. You really don't. You just need to let go of the reason on why you use money as a tool to save yourself. So can we just let go of the things that you used to save yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And then new tools can come in.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
right.
Yeah.
And this way, you don't have to lose your religions. You don't have to lose all those things that people do. Again, it's the reason why. So take a breath in. Right? And as you let that go, because again, you're still a young child at a very deep level. You're very playful. This is what the way it come out at you. You're very playful. You're very romantic. You're very in time. Let's say
Yeah.
plan a lot. You just things are what are they called? Anyway, take a breath in. I'm just helping you distract yourself. All right. So, all right. So, how easy is it for you in your mind's eye to just to walk away from all those stuff that you've known and just crack?
Easy.
Perfect. Love it. Now, a few minutes ago, it wasn't that easy for you, but now it is.
Yeah.
Perfect. So again, just helping you reconsider at a very frequency level, not a mental. That's too. It's too. It's not very powerful. Breath in. There you go. All right. So in this case, you're not you're not escaping. You're exploring. It's the same tool. You're going to go into nature. You're going to explore the
Yeah.
beauty of who you are. This is where, again, in physical form, you create youthfulness because you start to ascend to your timeless being of who you are. Okay. This is again, instead of escaping, you're exploring. You're not escaping your old self. You're exploring the possibilities of who you are. So basically, you're going higher. Okay.
Makes sense.
With the peyote experience, really quickly for a lot of people, okay, shaman wasn't obviously the purest. So
Yeah.
just what happened to you back in the day where your mom and dad would pour into you to create their identity of you, the shaman would do the same thing. And that's why it was an experience for you. It's just a recap.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I cleaned all that up for you. That was a
Yeah.
simple thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Feel good. I feel free, like in my solar plexus. I feel like a giant weight. I've been doing XI with you consistently since 2016.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that I know that I have trouble letting go is so I feel
Yeah.
good.
Now you're at the level, honey, that you're free, hon. So
Yeah.
go explore, sweetie.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
You
Small
should
Spirit.
journal, by the way, too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So we'll go to Fiona. How do you guys feel that, by the way? Hey, Fiona, how are you, hon?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. I can.
Hi,
Hi.
perfect. Thank you, Mas. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Let's work on your gut, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a doctor in any way or anything like that, but your gut. You hold on to a lot of attachments there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've had a lot of digestive issues in the last sort of year or so. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So do you want to share your psychedelic experience briefly, or you don't have
Um,
to, or
yeah, no, it's not really taken anything for psychedelic experiences, but I would say I move, well, certainly used to move around realities quite a lot and certainly
okay.
time forms. And that's
Mhm.
one of the things I was hoping to work on just to kind of be a bit more stable in a
Mhm.
good reality really for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I can
So
even feel it through the yeah, I can even feel it through the course of a day. Like I might start off feeling good and then I kind of go to work, I come back and I can all the thoughts, it's like my whole head feels very different at the end of the day. And I know what it is. I know I've just picked up other frequencies, but
yep.
sometimes getting back to where I need to be is difficult.
Yep. Exactly. So what you just said, basically, just to reiterate here, take a breath in, huh? let's help you with your center. Okay. So yeah, let's help you with your center. Notice your solar plex. Okay. And just notice, say, a sphere of energy within your solar plex. Okay. Okay. How does that feel for you?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, good. So what I'm doing for you is basically it's like Fiona, you're all over the place. There's no reference for you. Even at a brain level, there is no reference for you. Again, you kind of displace yourself in space and time. This is where people might go. It's like you might watch a movie, say you're in a dark movie theater, and then the movie ends. It's like, okay, where am I? If that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
You get situations like that. Or if you're sleeping, it's like you have to look around the room and go, okay, I'm here. So again, your body doesn't say necessarily remember where you are. Breath in again. All right. So again, spatial referencing is not the best for you. And I'll explain why, and we'll help you with that, by the way. So if you did do psychedelics,
oh, it would be terrible.
it'd be terrible. You are
Yeah.
That's why psychedelics do not call you, so to speak. Okay.
Yeah.
Because again, if Fiona's patterns or your patterns are, I don't know where I am in reference to space and time, right? And like I said earlier, psychedelics, they disconnect you from space and time. You have no, say, wing or rudder. You're just like, you just get blown away. And this is where people have horrid experiences. This is where you go back to your child because you want to save your child. This is where you go back to, say, your parents' child because you're deeply connected. I don't want to say with your necessarily your parents, but I don't know, grandparents are there for you.
They passed on, but maybe at a frequency level, I don't know.
Yeah. Did they pass on when you were young?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't necessarily pass on. They opened up a reality for you. With XI, they're not around you or anything like that, but that possibility of you jumping into the reality. Okay. So for example, for you, Fiona, take a breath in. And again, this is how psychedelics work. So as a little kid, you know, your grandparents, and this is just Fiona, but there's other experiences very similar to it. So comment in, by the way. So what happens, Fiona, is that, you know, you go into they die, they open up a possibility or reality of what you could live in. So when you do psychedelics, you literally get pulled into that reality and it'll feel like death for you when you do psychedelics. Right? This is where people have horrid experiences, by the way. They'll get pulled in because, again, there's no, like Christina here says, there's no spatial referencing for you, right? The interesting thing about you, Fiona, is that, and I know you've done XI for a while, you know, kind of off and on, maybe, from what I'm saying. But
Mostly all, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. But what happens is like you get stronger and then you allow people to latch onto you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
That's exactly what happens. I get sucked straight back down and it's like I can't move forward. Yeah.
Well,
Or I
that's
do
why.
move forward, but it's like it takes me a wee while to reset and then the same thing happens again and again and again.
Yep. So that's my point. So you at a mental level, it's not XI anymore. Again, frequency level, you're proper, you're good to go. But at a mental level, I can't control you there, or you know, I don't control you. I just show you possibilities. But at a mental level, this is where you have to be your own woman. Okay. If you don't like to do something, then you have to state that, you know, you just can't go with the flow, so to speak, just to keep the peace. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to define who Fiona is. I can't do that for you. I can give you, again, possibilities, but you have to choose it at a mental level. So psychology is very important for you. Okay. And then once you do that, you define Fiona for who she is, what the colors that she likes, the foods that she likes, whatever it is. Right. Even that, although it's very simple, for you, it's very confusing because say your red is your favorite color, but then you know, your friend or whoever likes purple. And you go, well, maybe red is not my favorite color. I'll go with purple. Does that make sense to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah. So those definitions, Fiona, has to be made at a physical or mental level. So that's where you step in. And once you step in and notice who Fiona is at a very deep level, this is where you solidify who you are. And then what happens later on, you can try psychedelics if you'd like. If it calls you, you can try the psychedelics, and then it'll actually expand your awareness of who you are. Okay? Rather than lose yourself in a reality, it'll center you more. It'll connect you more with who Fiona is. And this is where it gets grand. But this is, again, at a physical level, you're basically asking, it's like, I want to know who Fiona is. Well, okay, I'm going to ask you to search who Fiona is, right? So for you physically, wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what actions can I take? What vocabulary can I use? What mindset can I use? What words can I use to define who Fiona is each and every second? You keep saying that to yourself every morning. And when you do that, you're really good to go. You really are solid in this realm. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah. Thanks, Mas. Yeah.
Fiona is a lot of you might be actually going through that identity space where, again, you've done the XI work, but you need to take that tool. It's there, it's available for you. Now you need to apply it. Okay, XI is not a tool that it'll take you into certain realms for sure, but you need to apply it, because this is where your timeless self, your time-bound self, like Fiona, is coming together. They're merging. And your timeless self goes, Fiona, so you created yourself in this reality. What do you want to do with it? I can't do that for her. Your timeless self can't do that for her either. So again, this is where you step in. So it's a nice place to be on, but this is where you take charge, take control. Okay? Just by stepping in. So very beautiful. We'll go to Rima. You're welcome. And then to Jenna, I think. Jenny's. Hey, Rima, how are you?
Good. Happy to be on the call, actually. So basically, I think that I don't do psychedelics, but I can very easily go tap into different realities. And since a very long time, I've done XI for a very long time also. So it has shifted the way I perceive things now, which I'm very grateful and happy about. I feel more anchored, centered. But the reason why, what I want to ask you actually is about kind of the fear that I have to access, let's say, my limited self, which I do most of the time. But when I receive information, I always doubt. I'm like, is this this, or is it that, or is it this, or is it that? So my mental directly interferes. So it's quite annoying. That's the first thing. I guess I have a lot of fear-based belief related to accessing my abilities, let's say. And recently I have like kind of clairaudiency that's coming in. I've heard many times like voices in my ears, like we're talking, you and I. I've never opened up to this. I've kind of blocked it most of the time because it sounds terrifying. But I also hear in a different way. Let's say like when I connect in a meditation, I tune in a different way, and I can not hear, but I receive information that feel more accurate, or like that feel accurate. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about, to ask you about.
Take a breath.
How can I open up to this in a constructive way?
Take a breath in. Yeah, you can. So your family comes with, say, a lot of abilities, right? So, but in the past, your families would have, say, sacrificed something for themselves. Is there a lot of superstition or deep religious beliefs in your family?
Probably, maybe not this generation, but most probably the generation before.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So take a breath in again. So that deep superstition or that deep religious patterns, okay, if you want to call it dark religion, of course. So basically what happens in religion, take a breath in, it's fine. Okay. So basically what happens in Rena is that back in the day, religion people hold on to religion and to save them, but then the religion doesn't save them. And then basically they hold on to that religion tighter and tighter. And then that religion gets darker and darker for them. And then the religion or say the fear of what that religion is about starts to say render or create itself in reality, if that makes sense for you. So basically, they think that they're doing the religion wrong, right? And because most religions are like that, you got to do X, Y, and Z. So they get more and more, say, granular on, say, how that religion works. It's like, gosh, it's not working for me, so I'm probably doing it wrong, or I'm a bad person. So that's what happens, if that makes sense. Take a breath in, and then what happens is that people like start to hold on to their religion, and then since they're doing it, since they think that they're doing it wrong, or then I better not do this, they start to invite entities or frequencies in that aren't beneficial for them. This is where, like, say if you're Muslim, for example, they have jinns, which is true. Again, there's entities out there. They have the devil. They have whatever, in the Catholic religions, Christianity, and so on like that. They have all those things that are out there. They go, shit, I better protect myself from them. So again, it becomes very scary for them. But what they're doing is they're actually opening up that space for you. Okay. So take a breath in, Rena. So what you're doing now, Rena, and through the work that you've done with XI, you've created a nice, strong envelope of who you are. But if you expand further, so you're basically going, well, if I expand further, that means that I have to open that door. Take a breath in again. I have to open that door. And then if I do open that door, then all that stuff will come back into me. Does that make sense for you? Okay. Yeah. So breath in again. It's weird, but just notice your knees. Notice
I have knee pain.
Yeah. Yep. Your joints, by the way. So the other thing too is that in this time of change, and again, your abilities are really, really nice, but again, from family lineage, it's of a dark source. So if you want to expand into your higher self, let's just release, say, the dark definitions that's been created by the past for you.
Sure.
And then you can step into that realm, the higher realm that you're getting pushed into properly. Okay. Now, say without XI, you did psychedelics, you would literally reopen all the work that you've done. Well, I mean, without XI, basically you would reopen what your family tried to escape from, basically.
Yeah, it has happened to me in the past, so I'm pretty much aware of it.
Yep. So in this sense, again, let's do it properly. Let's help you understand what it's all about. Take a breath in again. There you go. And one, let's create a dominant Rena. Okay. So what that means, Rima, is that you're not fearful of using your gifts because it's your gifts. Get it? There's no superstition around your gifts. So basically, it's like if I use my gift, X is going to happen to me. So you're kind of like walking a fine line, right? And again, in your family, people, do they go mentally unstable for some reason? Or do they kind of lose their mind as they age? Like
maybe I don't recall specifically someone, but maybe.
Okay. Or are they very, very pristine, like they know exactly, or they're very intuitive as they age?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So either way, it's the same thing. Basically, people who can't, and again, the audience might be, you have your grandparents and you look at your grandparents and it's like, shit, they're there, physically there, but mentally they're not there, right? So they're either that or they're really old, but they're very pristine and they're very intuitive. It's the same thing. They live in another reality. The first one, the first scenario, take a breath in and just notice your headspace. The first scenario is that they don't know that they exist in another reality. The second scenario is that they live out of the reality, but it messes their physical body up. Breath in again, huh? So what I'm helping you here with is like, okay, pulling you in into a oneness, and you'll feel really whole. Two, you dominate the space that you're in. So you control. It's all about spatial referencing now. Instead of you moving around, you basically dominate the space that you're in, and you expand into the space that you're in. This way, you're always solid, you're always anchored, you're always safe. Very, very different, because you go into other realms, so to speak. That makes sense for you?
Yes.
All right. So breath in again. All right. How are you feeling?
Great.
So you'll stay in this space. And again, it's a stillness that most yogis and so on like step into. So that's the level that you're getting into with XI, which is really cool. Okay. Nice job. Very nice job. All right, guys. So that's how we change the world. That's how we roll here, guys. So pretty wild, right? It's more fascinating, than trying to change your mind state, trying to do certain things, you practices, all these acts that we try to do, to transform our world, because they're helpful, but they're very, very slow. The XI allows you to do it much, much faster for you. Right. So what we'll do is we'll just take a few minutes. We'll answer any of the questions. I can scan you. So say that again. Okay, sure. So yeah, Demi's asking me if I could tap into like shaman's consciousness, because a lot of people, again, nowadays, guys, you want to watch out what's going on for you. Okay. All right. So shamans, because it's like, oh, we'll go out east, we'll go to South Africa or wherever people go, we'll go to India, or we'll go shamans, or mullahs in the Muslim culture, or what are they called, gurus, in the Indian culture and so on, or shamans in the Indian culture. So those kind of leaders, so to speak, right? Take a breath in. So what they do, again, back in the day, the real shamans, and again, back in the day, not all of them are real, but the real ones, okay? The real shamans, for example, they were pure. They went through the processes of death, so to speak. They understood. They transformed themselves from living from a physical identity, knowing they're much more into, say, again, a spiritual identity, and then again, creating themselves at a higher level, so they could guide you into those realms. But so say, imagine that we'll just put levels, or we'll put numbers to these levels. Take a breath in again, volume. Okay. So what that means is that when you do the psychedelic experiences, the shaman goes, you want to go, you're at level 0, okay, which is this reality. And say a shaman is supposed to be, say, level 300. Okay. A good shaman should be at least 300. Okay. And I'll give you, again, numbers don't mean anything. They're just reference points, so we understand. Okay. So take a breath in. All right. Somebody here, guys, please share and like this video as well. Thank you so much. All right. So think of it this way. You're at level 0. You want to use psychedelics, right? And somebody to guide you, right, into, say, a higher level frequency. Say you want to go to level 300 frequency, okay? And again, that's the minimum that you want to get into. XI goes much, much higher on that. So what happens back in the day, shamans were like at 600, 700, 800, and so on. And again, XI goes much higher than that. But most shamans today, they're at level maybe 10 or 20. So, but they want to take you into the higher levels. So what they're doing, most individual, right, is one, they get involved with your sacred journey. Again, you don't want to do that. Right? This is where forgot her name, but this is where she did that peyote experience, and then it wasn't the best for her because, again, what happens is like the shaman, the so-called shamans, what they do is like they'll combine. So say there's a there's a person in the group that's level 10, there's a person that's a level 30, there's a person that's level 40, so that's 70, that's 80 levels high, right? So you kind of average, but you take a higher average. And then so you're between the three people and the person that's supposed to guide you, you're now, and the shaman's like maybe, I don't know, 10, like I said, so you're up at 90. Okay. So basically a combined total of 90 consciousness. So the shaman is using you as a ladder to go to higher levels of consciousness that they can't access. So that's the problem with using improper shamans. That makes sense. Does that make sense for you? Okay. So it's just layers of consciousness. It's that literally that simple. So again, in real, the true shaman. Okay, so this is where most shamans do. I'm not saying all centers are bad. Again, other centers basically allow you a free form. Okay, so they hold a space for you, and they don't get into your journey experiences. They just allow you to stay in that space. But then again, that's cool too. But then you don't know where to go. Right? It's actually clear. It's actually cleaner for you that way. What true shamans do, or what XI would do with XI psychedelics for you, if you're doing psychedelics, is basically it's like, hey, you want to go to level 300 or even higher? That's cool. We've been there. We've journeyed it before. I know how to get there. Right? And again, in XI, we're into the thousands, by the way. So it's like, oh, you want to go to level 300? Sure. Let me guide you into that space. Okay? But again, we guide you into that space. So that's what a true shaman would do. They guide you. It's like, yeah, you're at this level. Here, go to this level. And this is how you start to heal yourself. Because when you see yourself at a level, say 200 or 300, you start to heal the physical form that you are. So that's the purpose of what shamans do. Right? XI is basically a replacement of a true shaman, and that's why XI and psychedelics merge really well together. Right? And we're actually creating a program on how to do that right if you're going to do psychedelics. Hence, we're also going to Burning Man as well to do, again, help those individuals do it properly. So, all right. Let's see here. This is Mia. Can you please see what's going on with my father's memory and help him? Again, not a doctor or anything like that, but I don't know if he's had COVID or maybe the vaccine, but it just allowed, it deteriorates. So what would have happened for your father like 5, 10 years into the future is happening now for him. Okay, so that's basically accelerating. One of the things that you could do, I know it sounds kind of weird. Again, I'm not a doctor, it's just a suggestion. If he's taken, again, especially the vaccine, you might want to take some nicotine patches, very low dose, just to help, say, release that from him. And then also some frequency-wise, that can help. Yes, but physically, again, there has to be things to be done. So again, bone broth or something to nurture him back. Your father just feels like as he gets closer to death, we all die. As he gets closer to death, he turns into a little baby, so to speak, or a young person, right? Some elders do that. And the reason why is because they're going back as they age and go, gosh, you know what? I need to heal that younger version of myself. So I can definitely do that, help them, but maybe in a private, a longer session than this. But that's what he's going through. Right? All right. Somebody says you can skip all that and practice XI. Absolutely. You actually can. You can bypass psychedelics. You can bypass a lot of those things. And then you want to do psychedelics, wealth, religions, all that. It's totally cool. Are there teachers at Jesus level now on the planet? Let's say no, maybe. Let's just say, yeah, I can answer that. Let's see. But Jesus did say that there will be people that can do far greater things than him. Yes. So it could be the opening for that. But again, can't answer it Can you please clear up the effects of my two suicidal parents have on me? Again, so so the deal is that you're always referencing yourself in reference to, it's all about reference points. That's why, again, XI and especially spatial referencing is the most innovative scientific breakthrough ever. Okay. And people go, well, no, AI isn't all that. No, it's spatial referencing in XI once you understand it. So for you, Ivy, quickly take a breath in, hon. We'll just disconnect you. You're ready, whatever you've done. Basically, you're always referencing yourself. So you've done a great job with XI, but then you're referencing yourself in memory, not a frequency, in memory to the physical, the experiences, because that is a tragic experience, right? Both parents, suicide. So again, so your memories, I shouldn't really get into this stuff, but again, for people who have traumatic, it's hard for a memory release. So yes, I'll help you physically at this. Take a breath in, and if you allow me to do that, okay? Sometimes people just need a nudge in the physical form of their psychology. Again, so breath in. Ivy, just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Comment in on how you feel. It'll disorient you a lot. You might go through a suicidal experience. So again, that's why I don't like to do this. So just really be mindful of yourself. And it's not that you're basically going to experience the suicidal tendencies in your family, honestly. So you want to have somebody safe around you, or you want to be safe, because as that pattern disconnects, just like fear, it rises up in you. Again, suicidal tendencies might rise up in you, Ivy, and then disappears. So again, it's not for you to commit suicide or get disoriented or get distorted. It's for you to go, yep, that's the pattern that is not good to run. I need to delete that. Okay, but sometimes, again, the mental level, the boundaries cross and be like that. This is interesting, Heather. I was writing a book about spatial referencing when I dreamed about moss and started to awaken with this knowledge. Awesome, beautiful. Yeah, spatial referencing. Again, a lot of people are practicing XI. You just want to make sure you want to keep the purity of XI. Right? If you're writing on spatial referencing and so on like that. So very nice, very nice. You can use it in your teachings, your modalities. XI is not about say, your modality sucks. It's not, no, it's like your modality is perfect the way you teach it. Let's enhance you to run your modality at a better level. So no matter what you're doing, guys, it just creates a better version. Okay. Also feel stressed and can't find a reason. Could you scam me? This is Zorro guy. Yeah, so as you come into your new self, you're basically Zorro guy. So basically what happened is that you're coming on stage. So that in the past, that stress basically that stress meant that something not the best for you is going to happen to you. Okay, so it's like, shit, I'm going into this. Now that you've flipped it around, and what you're doing is like, so that's stress. So observe the stress that you get, say, into. Okay. So in the past, stress was an indicator to go, God, I'm getting into an uncomfortable situation that I might get used and abused, basically, or shortchanged. Okay. Now, what you've done, again, whatever you've done with XI, you've changed it, and then you're going to use stress to be your best possible self. Say, like a lot of entertainers, right? They get, say, butterflies in their stomach and so on, which is really good. Okay. But basically what you want to do, Zorro guy, is like make those butterflies fly in formation. That's all. Most people try to rid themselves of the butterflies in their stomach. But if you, again, control that stress, it allows you, again, the fight-flight response. It allows you to become your best. So before it used to destroy you, now if you learn it and observe that frequency that you're getting, right, stress allows you to, again, stress in its right sense allows you to force yourself to make yourself more, say, more granular in space and time. So it forces you to become your best possible self. And that's what you can do. Stress for you. Right. So I'm asking you, please scan my productivity. This is Momina. Sure. So now it seems like you're going to go on a journey of self. I think before, Momina, you're always involved with the family, always doing with the family, always like moving together with the family, even with XI. But XI is a journey on your own. Psychedelics is a journey on your own, and so on like that. So it's time for you to like really define who you are outside of, your culture, your family culture, and so on like that. And this is where I don't know if you have kids or but they start to define themselves outside of that family culture. The beautiful thing is that you don't lose that culture. What happens is that you take the best of that culture, and then create a higher version of it. Okay, and create a higher version of yourself. Okay. um, John DeMoss, can you scan me? Sure. For you, John, there's something about your father. It's almost like you're trying to prove yourself. Okay? It stems from a father or grandfather. Oh, it's your grandfather never thinking that your father was good enough. So it's not even about you, by the way. So yeah, it's your grandfather never thinking that your father, is good enough. So this is where you pick that frequency up from your father, and then now you're always trying to prove yourself. If that makes sense. So it's a losing battle because you can never prove yourself because you'll never be good enough. There's a reason for that. Take a breath in because there's always a better version of you the next step up. No matter how brilliant you are, say you're at a Jesus level frequency, there's a better version of that Jesus level frequency. Again, you're always say maintaining a higher version. Why? Again, but for you, John, you're looking backwards. Like shit, never good enough, compared to what when you look forward. So it's great for you because you're seeing both sides, but you learn from the past, move forward. Most people go, shit, what? Compared to my new self, I'm never good enough. This is where people go, yeah, I made $1 million or $1 billion. It's like, yeah, I need to make another billion to actually get to that space. Same thing with psychedelics. It's like, yeah, that trip was great, but again, it's not good enough. So if you took psychedelics, for example, John, you'd go, oh, yeah, this trip wasn't that great. I'm going to get, and it's a downward spiral. So again, so you can use psychedelics in your case, again, to send you higher faster, by the way, which is cool. This one, Momina, again, what I said, you have to define yourself. You get picked on by coworkers again because you're a group. So you're alone. You're in your family dynamics, okay, Momina, and then you go to work and you're alone. You need to find family dynamics to say define who you are. And again, most people who run in a pack, this is a huge problem because people want to be in groups, they want to be in their tribe, but when they're outside their tribe they feel naked because the tribe creates weakness, right? Again, you can be in a tribe and do it properly. So what I'm saying, what I was helping you with is as you define yourself within the tribe gets stronger. Does that make sense for you all? Okay, this is where again religions destroy things. Being a certain political party movement destroys things. The farmers in Germany, again, they're doing a great job, again, fighting against the system. But again, they're not. They're doing it as a weak pack, getting to create strength, which is good, which is fantastic. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that, okay? So don't get me wrong, but this is where, again, ConnectSci can help the world. Basically, you get together as weaknesses and go, fuck, this is why we're in the situation that we're in. So you take that responsibility, and each one within that pack or within that group or within that demonstration goes, I need to fix my weaknesses. And then you run as a tribe, as a pack, strong as hell, and then nobody can dominate. That makes sense to you? So that's why. Amina, you're more at a personal level, but just think of it as a huge level. Again, political parties, countries, certain mindsets, and so on like that. It creates weakness. Look at the deep state. They're a pack, and they're creating weakness within themselves. So what do? They have to control more because they get weaker within the pack. Gets fucks them up, right? And this is where they go down. All right. Erica, again, friend with Polly. Frequency wise, yes. So I would suggest a session one for that stuff. Again, I don't claim to cure or heal anybody. What I do is awaken your natural healing abilities. Yes. So for them, and it's especially if they're willing, one of them doesn't seem to be really willing. It's kind of like an excuse not to run life. So, when you fix those excuses, this is where people come back from cancers and so on. It's like, yeah, you know what? I have no reason to live. It's a great excuse for me. I'll get cancer. And again, I don't heal the cancer. What I do is like, shit, you know what? You've got a shitload of reasons of why you should be here and the brilliance of life here, right? You help them understand. It's like, you know what? Oh, I don't need that experience of having cancer then. Then that's how people heal themselves through, exile. All right. I'll do one last one. I knew there was one more. This is the one, I guess. Can you help my son's 18-year-old friend cross over properly? He crossed by suicide recently. Yep. Thought there was one more person. It's interesting how death gets attracted to me, not in a bad way, but like this young man here. Wow, so it's so sad. A lot of teenage suicide. I was invited to China because it's rampant in China. They might have the best technology, surpass a lot of things, but who the fuck cares? If the consciousness is not there, what good is your technology or the money that you have, right? Your family is dying, right? Or your culture is dying, or your country is dying, and your country is, broken. What good is the technology or the wealth? Take a breath in. It's really sad because beautiful people like this young man, he's just literally just wanted to be hugged and say everything's okay, literally, and then mean it. Take a breath in. So let's just help all the people who've just committed suicide. Seems like you never know where this shit's going to go, right? Yeah. And then sad, but those individuals who are thinking of committing suicide, it's not the answer, guys. So let's help those individuals as well, especially the young. And even that, it's a matter of referencing, spatial referencing. They don't like it here. They think somewhere else is going to be better. It's not. Like this young man, the burdens that he left behind here goes over with him, just like psychedelics. Psychedelics, the same thing. The burdens that you have here go over with you. In psychedelics, you just come back. In death, you just stay there. That's the difference. Breath in again. Seems like there's a younger brother or something like that. That's like shit. I think I'm next. Doesn't have to be that way, especially with this session. It can open up. There you go. All right, guys. What a great way to close out. Hopefully you all felt that in your space. Thank you so much. Notice what you notice, guys. Notice the details of what you're noticing. And practice becoming exponentially intelligent, guys. Peace.